Kayleen, it was a very sad day today. And I do not apologize for my post a while ago to a single person. There is no apology coming from me. I will not remain silent. You will not silence my voice. You know, there's Democratic Party members out there that said that they're progressing war against us conservatives. Well, they showed it today, didn't they? They showed it. Yes, that came out of Democratic congressmen's mouths, okay? For those who don't know that. That's a fact. Do your fact checking, okay? Yeah, I agree, Melissa. A moment of silence is going to be needed. Well, after this, after the music ends right here, we'll do that.
God bless America. God bless my home.
All right. You know, Charlie Kirk was a father, a husband, a son, and it all came to a screeching halt today, for no reason other than the fact he liked to go on college campuses and register people to vote. And he voiced his opinion, and he allowed you to voice your opinion. And he was silenced today. Yes, you guys on the Democratic Party, I'm not diminishing you. I'm not diminishing. But the liberal left, okay, they're the cause of this. There's no doubt about it. Do you think a Republican person silenced Charlie Kirk? Come on. Let's be smart here, okay? Let's be smart. All right. For a moment of silence, I'm going to say a prayer, though. God, we know Charlie is with you today, this evening. It's hard to fathom what his wife and 2 children are going through today. But with your helping hand, try your best to ease their pain somehow. There's many out there that are suffering today, tonight, tomorrow, and the next day. But through your helping hand, we're a strong country. We can get through anything as long as we trust in you. And in God's name we pray. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Amen. All right, I've said that, my piece. Also, this right here is the Gulf of America, okay? Let me make that very clear. Some of you guys want to silence me from calling this the Gulf of America. No longer. No, I'm not going to do that. In Charlie's name, this is Gulf of America, y'all. Not Gulf of Mexico, not the Gulf. This is the Gulf of America. Is what this is. And that's what I'm going to call it from now on. All right, let's get forward with the weather now. You know, y'all, I don't like doing these kind of things, but this is my page. I was looking how many people had unfollowed me. There was about 70 people so far that unfollowed me. That's fine. If I lose half of my followers, if that's what happens, you know what? I'm not going to move away from my beliefs and standards as a godly man. And as a physical conservative. That is me. That is who I am. I'm not going to move away from those. And nobody's going to turn me away from them. When something like this happens, in our country, you're going to hear from me. You're going to hear from me. You're going to hear from me. And if you don't like that, I suggest you unfollow the page. That's all I can say about that. You know, it's plain and simple. Plain and simple. All right, let's get going now. So the National Hurricane Center here this afternoon put up a 20% chance of formation here in 7 days. Any concern about this? Well, a little bit of concern. This has a possibility of moving toward the general direction of the Bahamas here. Something we need to watch down the road? Yeah. I'm at TS level 1 right now. Not because of this over here. It is not because of this. It's because of what might happen over here that might get over here in the Gulf. That is where my TS level 1 is coming from. Notice I didn't raise it to TS level 2, did it? Didn't raise it to TS level 2. We're going to stay at TS level 1 right now. Let me exit that right now. If you look at the 5 global models, now all of a sudden the GFS model is coming within that timeline because this is 7 days out. Now look what happened here over here in the western part of the Caribbean. See that little X right there? Tropical development there. This shows up around the GFS model. Also a tropical development back here where the National Hurricane Center has development. Also on the UK model, tropical development here where the National Hurricane Center has development. Notice there's nothing on the European model 7 days out. Nothing on the Canadian model 7 days out. Until we get to day 10 out there on the Canadian model. But this only takes us out to 7 days out. The Navy model is not showing anything as well. So I'm going to exit that. The NCP ensembling 5 days out. You see the general direction of this. Some of this is going this direction, and some of it is going out in the open Atlantic. Now let me say this. There's 2 separate systems here that's involved in this. One of them is coming off the coast of Africa. Where's that going to be moving at? It looks like that's going to turn out in the open Atlantic. But this one over here in the forefront here, that the National Hurricane Center is watching, y'all, it's got a chance of making it toward the Bahamas. So need to watch on the road? Yeah. Then look down here in the Caribbean. Notice these lines coming upwards here, right? You see that? Now let's go 5 to 10 days out. Few more lines here, isn't there? Few more lines here. Now you can see those separate systems I was talking about back there too as well. And look down here in the Pacific side. Notice we got a couple lines or so that's moving across Mexico in toward the Bay of Campeche area. You notice that? So again, something you need to watch. That's the reason I'm at TS level 1 with one eye open. Okay, that's what TS level 1 means. No worries, but we're going to leave one eye open as observation. This is weathernerds.org. 10 days out on the European ensembles. Notice that the direction of these are moving toward the general westward movement, aren't they? You don't see that turning real quickly out in the open Atlantic yet, do we? And look over at the Bahamas. You see over the Bahamas? Where some of this is maybe not developing till where? Till it gets over here in the Bahamas. Now you look over in the Bay of Campeche area. Now again, y'all, this is the European ensembles, 10 days out. This is the first time we started seeing now the European ensembles on weathernerds.org start showing these areas of low pressure that I've been showing you guys on the ensembles a little bit further out in time. You know, James, I'll bet one thing. We might lose a few followers, but I bet you we probably gain more subscribers, James. You know that? I would not be surprised. We may lose a few followers, but I bet we gain more subscribers, James. And again, I'm not here to get likes or follows. I'm here to speak the truth all the time, no matter what the subject might be. This is a weather page. That's what it is. And that's what it's going to be 99.99% of the time. But there's that 0.101, 0.1111% out there that y'all, I got to speak out sometimes. And this is one of those nights I had to. I apologize, but I don't apologize at all. I don't. All right. let's get going again further. Now, this is the European ensembles. Let's look and see what the GFS ensembles are doing here for this. Whoa, look at this. Look how active the GFS ensembles get over in the Gulf. Look over here in the Western Caribbean, how active it gets. Now, let's go a little bit further out in time. Let's go to 300 hours out now. Let's wait for this to update now. The plot's updating. Let me hit the update plot now. Now look at what's happening here. Look at the red. Look how active out of the Caribbean, y'all, it's getting, and over here in the Bay of Campeche here. Some of these models are going where? Going over Florida. Some of them are going up here and moving toward Texas. Some of them are coming up here, moving toward Louisiana, Mississippi area. Now, you see what's getting to happen now on the ensembles? Again, this is weathernerds.org. All right, here is the European ensembling of probabilities. Now, what's the difference? This is a probability modeling is what this is. And you notice right here, you got two separate areas of development here on the European ensembling of probabilities going out to 240 hours out, which is 10 days out. And you look at the general direction of this, and you look over in the Bahamas. You see what I'm talking about here? Then you look over in the Western Caribbean, you see the purple. You look over in the Bay of Campeche, you got purple there. Now again, this is right at 10 days out. What's that date? September 20th. When is everything supposed to take place that we've been watching? Around the 19th, 20th, 21st timeline, isn't it? That's what we've been watching, that timeline has. Okay, here is the European ensembles themselves. Let's watch and see what they do. Top right corner, you can see the date. Over here in the left corner over here, you can also see the date. And you can even put up, I've even activated the time here if you want to see the time. So there's two different places you can watch the date. Up here and over here. Let's see what the European ensembles did today. So we got a system developing right back here. You can see it right there. Any concern about that right now? Probably not. Then look over here in the Caribbean and in the Bay of Campeche. What's that date? September 20th, isn't it? I'll be dogs if that 20th isn't popping up there on these ensembles. And look at the activity coming out of the Caribbean there into the Gulf. Y'all, it gets pretty active here, doesn't it? Tell you what, if I keep seeing these European ensembles continue to do this, I'm probably going to have to raise the TS level. Probably going to have to raise it up a little bit. All right, that's the European ensembles. A lot of activity here. A lot of activity on those ensembles. Now, it's no clarity. I repeat, there is no clarity that all of this over here is going to break out into the open Atlantic. If you live over in the eastern seaboard, from Florida all the way up here to the northeast, you need to watch this very closely here. It's getting really close. Some of this is. Okay? Some of this is starting to get fairly close to the northeast up there, as you can see. Fairly strong ensembling here in the Gulf. Look at all the clustering right here in the Bay of Campeche area. You see it? Look at the ensembles and the lows in here in the Bahamas. Now, most of the clustering is over here, isn't it? Oh, over in the Atlantic side. Most of that's over here in the open Atlantic. So there's a better chance that this turns out in the open Atlantic. But you can see how close some of these L's are turning. You can see how close they are. Don't know which one's going to be correct. Could that one be correct? Or might this one over here be correct? That's the dilemma at hand right now. All right, next up is going to be the European AIFS ensembles. you look at the IFS ensembles right now, it looks like fairly convincingly that a lot of this is going to turn out in the open Atlantic. Now you get a look at the date here, September 21st. Look what's coming out of the Caribbean here, maybe toward the Gulf. Works its way over the Bay of Campeche area. How many areas of low pressure do we have in this general area right here? And look over here in the Bahamas now too. Boy, a lot of clustering right there, isn't there? Not much clustering here over here in the Bay of Campeche or in the Gulf there. Not much there. No, we have not really had a storm in the Bahamas for some time. I would say, man, a couple years probably. Did one move through the Bahamas last year? I don't believe there was one that went to the Bahamas last year. If there was, I don't recall it. There may have been one, and I just don't remember which one it was. Okay, next up is going to be the GFS ensembles. All right, now we're at September 16th. September 17th. Look what's coming out of the Gulf, out of the Caribbean. There's September the 18th right there. Now, Alice, I'm going to stop it right there for a second. That's September the 19th. How many ensembles do we have there in the Gulf in the GFS? Man, look at that cluster right there, y'all. See how it's all clustered up? See how those L's are all clustered up there right together? Pretty convincingly on the GFS ensembles, isn't it? When you see that right there. That's a pretty convincing, favorable possibility right there of where things might go. Now, that's a long ways out in time, right? So we can't believe that far out in time that the confidence level of this is that high. But boy, it's sure trying to convince those that follow the ensembles that something's going to be coming out of the Caribbean there. Here comes another piece of energy coming out of the Caribbean. That's September 23rd. Might we get one behind another coming out of that Caribbean? Is that a possibility? Look at the ensembles back here in the Bay of Campeche area and in the Gulf. Y'all, we may end up with a system coming out of the Caribbean around the 19th and another system coming in there in the Gulf somewhere around the 23rd, 24th. We may get one behind the other coming in here. Oscar went into the Bahamas last year, James said. I thought maybe there was one, but I just couldn't remember for sure. Thanks, James. And then look at the energy here. Maybe moving up the East Coast. Guys, don't say for certain. You know, there's one person that keeps saying, I'm not gonna mention name, but he keeps saying all the time, "Oh, we're only gonna see fish storms all year. We're only gonna see fish storms all year." Y'all, it may happen. That very well might be the case. I can't see in the future that far out to say that's going to be the case, though. I don't see any models in the future that's telling me that's going to be the case. Doesn't show that right now. All right, that's the GFS ensembles. Now let's look at the Canadian ensembles. So now what's the timeline here? It's the 19th. Look what's coming out of the Caribbean on the 19th. How many ensemblings do we have right there? Do we have a cluster there of anything? Well, there is. Look at that. Look at the clustering of lows there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 7. There's 8. There's 8 installments. So that puts it, if you just multiply it times 2 there, then that'd be a 16% probability. Now this is far out in time, but nonetheless, that's a 16% probability that around the 22nd we got an area here to watch. That's a 16% probability. Is there more? You see where, man, Texas, Louisiana, you're not out of the picture here. You're not out of the picture. Boy, did I jinx you guys in Texas and Louisiana last night? Did I jinx y'all? I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out, huh? I said last night that Texas, Louisiana, the further we get through September, in October, the less likely they are to have a hurricane or a tropical storm in their area. That is usually the case. Usually. Okay, next up is going to be the European global model. What did it do today? Does it show anything at all? So far, nothing. A little bit of piece of energy there. Now moving through the Atlantic Basin there, moving maybe toward. Look what happened. It curves out the open Atlantic. The one behind it curves out the open Atlantic, and there was absolutely nothing over here in the Gulf or the Bay of Campeche or even anything coming out of the Caribbean. We don't see anything there at all on the European global model. Not a piece. Nothing. Nada. Here's the European IFS model. And Nicole, don't worry about that. Going right through me. Nah. Don't bet on that. Now, the European IFS model is rather interesting. It continues to have something moving a little bit closer toward the Bahamas, doesn't it? That's the end of that run. Notice there was nothing coming on out of the Caribbean or nothing over the Bay of Campeche, nothing in the Gulf here at all. So nothing on the European or the European IFS model of the global model showing anything like this at all. Nothing. Doesn't show anything. Okay, next up is going to be the GFS model. What did it do today? Okay, there comes the system through the Atlantic Basin. Now we got an area low pressure. Materialized a little bit there in the western part of the Caribbean, crosses the Yucatan Peninsula and gets over there in the Gulf. There it sets right there on September the 20th. Doesn't really do too much. Probably runs into some strong wind shear more than likely. Now, one thing I want to show you though. Let me show you what the previous run did on the 12Z run. Did it do anything different? It did. It had an area low pressure there, develop there in the Gulf, and then move toward the general direction of Florida. Doesn't really materialize into anything, but does, maybe it could dump a ton of rain in that position right there. What did the previous run before that do? The 6Z run. Had a tropical system move toward the general direction of Louisiana and Mississippi area. Maybe Mobile, Alabama area. You can see what that did. So the GFS model is kind of locked on something. Okay? Where exactly it goes, it's anybody's guess. If it ever materializes. But the same timeline is falling into play. And that's around the 19th. Now, do you think the Canadian model finally is grasping at this since we're looking at about 10 days out? Do you think finally maybe another model is grasping with this a little bit? Here's the Canadian model. What does it do? Everybody says, well, Tim, it must because you're talking about it. Yeah, probably a good chance of it, right? Okay, look what's being pulled out of the Caribbean. There's our area low pressure. Boom. What's that date? September the 20th. Boom. Now we got two global models. We got two global models. Now finally starting to show something coming out of the Caribbean. Things are starting to get a little bit more interesting here now, aren't they? When you got two global models kind of giving you the same thing, and you see the ensembles all kind of showing the same kind of stuff. European ensembles and European IFS ensembles really didn't show too much, but there was some. The European global model and the European AIFS global model did not show anything in the Gulf. But we do have the GFS and the Canadian global models showing something now. I'm telling you, the odds of getting something coming out of the Caribbean toward the Gulf, it's rising some, y'all. The odds of that happening is rising ever so slightly. Too far out to have a lot of confidence. We're still 10 days out. Tomorrow will be 9 days out. What's the models going to do tonight? If we get the Canadian model still staying on board, and the GFS model still showing something, we'll definitely be going to TS level 2, maybe even 3. What's TS level 3, James? Tell everybody what TS level 3 is. Anybody know what TS level 3 is? I wish I had it up here. What's TS level 3, James? I believe we've seen this before. I believe that's what TS level 3 is. We've seen this before. So y'all see what the dilemma is. We got no, get her done. It's get her done, the bare minimum. TS level 4 is we've seen this before. That's what it is. TS level 4 is we've seen this before. That's what it is. TS level 3, get her done, the bare minimum. TS level 2, we've seen this before. No, TS level 2, we've seen this before. Check the kit. That's what it is. And I'm getting all mixed up here. It's been a mind-blowing day, man, hasn't it? It really has. So I'll be the first to admit, I had a scanner report coming across my I have a pro scanner on my phone. It's called Professional Pro Scanner. And when I seen that report coming through that Charlie Kirk had been shot, I literally cried. I have watched many episodes, many shows of Charlie, and I don't know if I've missed many of them. That's how much I admire the guy. He came through New Orleans one day, and I shook his hand a few years back, and didn't really say too much. Didn't have much conversation. I just wanted to shake his hand. I did so. But y'all, a life's taken, and it doesn't make it. What side of the aisle you're on? Be courteous. That's all I ask. Be courteous. Some networks were being so downright cold and nasty. It was crazy, and that's not needed. That's just downright not needed. And I hope some people on some of those other networks that I'm talking about, I hope they lose their jobs. They should be fired, immediately fired. Immediately fired. And if they're not, man, I don't know why you'd ever watch MSNBC, CNN, and some of those networks like that. I don't know why. I just can't bear watching them. Can't do it. Can't do it. You know one thing, Doug, I found out in life. It's okay to cry as a guy, you know? It is okay. It's okay to tear as a guy. It just shows you care, man. That's all it does. It shows you care. All right, y'all. I am going to get out of here. There's not much else I can give you tonight. Gotta watch. We have to watch these models. Gotta watch these models, y'all. These models are kind of hinting. They're kind of hinting. They are hinting at something coming out of that Caribbean, and we have to really start watching what the models are giving us here. We know when something comes out of the Caribbean and gets in the Gulf, there is no exit out of the Gulf, is there? It's gonna probably hit somebody of some facet. That's just the way. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. So we need to watch what happens coming out of that Caribbean. Does it make it into the Gulf, or could it something like this move over this direction here? What could? If we get a cold front come in, a strong enough one, it could lift it up and take it out in the open Atlantic. Look at the high pressure aloft here. Where is this going to go? It's going to go up in here, y'all. There is no way this thing's going in this direction. That high pressure up there is no exit of that. It is going to have to go up in here, and it's, boy, look out, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi here on the Canadian model as a possibility there. Just looking at that right there. Just looking at that right there. James says that is the LRC for Nadine and Barry starting September 20th through the 26th. Slight chance it fizzles. Maybe. Michael, it's just, first of all, it's not even an organized system. So we don't know what's going to happen, if anything even does happen. There's a good chance this thing doesn't even materialize. Right now, I'd say the odds of this right now, I'd probably give it a 20% probability right now of maybe of development. Maybe it should be a little higher than that. We have 2 models out of 4 giving us this, so that's 50% probability. You look at it that way, but I'm lowering that percentage only because of the timeline out there 10 days out. That's the only reason I lower that probability, probably maybe 20%, and that's what I'd give it right now, honestly. All right, y'all. Have a great night. God bless you all. I'll come back tomorrow morning. I'm off tomorrow. I canceled my appointment today. I just didn't feel like going to a chiropractor tomorrow morning. After Charlie Kirk got killed, I just didn't feel like doing anything tomorrow. I just wanted to say it. Kind of want to stay at home and work my butt off outside maybe and do some exercise outside rather than go to a chiropractor. So we'll come back tomorrow morning and we'll look at these models over again. I think come Friday it could be a 20%. Yeah, could be, James. By Friday it would be what? It'd be almost 10 days out, won't it? It'd be close to 10 days out. So there you go. By Friday, well, actually by Friday it'd be about 7 days out. Sorry, it'd be 7 days out. Is what it would be. All right, Luke. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. James, thank you. Robert, Michael, all you guys that are subscribers that support me, I appreciate it a bunch. I'm sorry for rambling tonight, but I'm not sorry either, y'all. Sometimes I just got it's a good event, isn't it? Isn't it good event sometimes? Even if people can't vent back at you, it's sometimes you just gotta lay off some steam, And that's what I did. I appreciate you guys allowing me to do that. It's just sometimes it's just the way we survive in life is by letting off a little steam sometimes without any anger. And I hope you guys realize there is not a bit of anger as to really in my heart, even the death of Charlie. It makes me, I'm upset, yes. Anger-wise, no, because I know where he's at right now, too. If that makes sense. I know where he's at. He's with Jesus. And that part makes me feel good. Because he was a very religious young man. All right, y'all. Have a great night. God bless you all.